So guys, my name is Vidit and I'll be teaching you F5. I've been teaching in F5 from last 10 to 12 years and I'm working in F5 from last 12 years. Like I have experience in all the technologies, whether it's LTM, which is the course, which is a load balancer application delivery. So to start your journey, this is mandatory course. Then we have GTM, which is basically DNS. So that's a separate course and separate batch who wants to do. It's basically based on your DNS solution. And then we have another module called WAF, which is called Web Application Firewall, and it is also termed as ASM. So whoever is in network industry, guys, for them, like nowadays, you need a component which is called network security plus cloud plus load balancer plus automation. I have been focusing on all this technology, and I've told you previously also, if you have joined my demos, that these are the 5 technologies which you need to be good with. If you need to be really want to stay on the market, you need to be keep learning these skills. So in security, guys, you have already done Palo Alto. Okay. If someone has not done, they can do it later on once we start. And there is one more application security course which comes into picture is ASM. So I'm already certified in all this 101, 201, 301, 302, and 303. So guys, these are basically related to LTM. This one is related to GTM, and this one is related to WAF. Okay. So I am already working, and I will make sure that after this training, you will be able to work on any production environment. Plus, you will be able to crack any interview. That is my main focus. And next thing is whether if you have any doubts, let's say you have done the training and you are getting at least 50%, that's good. If you're not getting, you will get the videos. You start watching it. And still, if you have doubts, you can reach out to me Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. IST on my number. Rest, I'm not available on WhatsApp. Sometimes I'm available only for the requirement basis. I always prefer a call. Whether you are international or Indian, you can do me WhatsApp call or normal call. For any doubts, it's a basic don't, and we will keep this interactive. If you think someone thinks like it's a basic question, don't worry. You are there, you need to work hard, you need to study and work hard with me. If you work hard with me 50%, 50% is mine. Then I'm sure that you can work in any production environment. And guys, whether you are in cloud network or whether you are in on-premises, F5 and Palo Alto are in huge demand. Any company which you are going, you just go to naukri.com, you will find this. That how much demand, whether you are in cloud also, people are still deploying F5, Palo Alto, FortiGate, this type of technologies. So this was, guys, my basic introduction. I will start now with my course content, and then if you have still questions, you can ask. Then we'll start with original content.
Actually, I have some query. Who is the competitor of F5 in market?
Like you are asking about, can you be little loud? Your voice is little low.
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm asking who is the competitor of F5 in market?
Just 1 minute.
Similar product.
Your voice. Yeah, go ahead now. Your
Who is the
voice is
competitor of?
low, but I'm not sure. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
I'm asking who is the competitor of F5 in market?
So F5 competitors are like Citrix, Redware.
Okay.
So these are 2 competitors. But Redware I have seen very less. Citrix still I can see it's in demand. Like, but problem with Citrix is they don't provide free licenses. Like with F5, you can do a lab before working in production environment, and they give you 30 days license. Plus, documentation is very good. Plus, the certification which I am talking about, whether you are in India or foreign country or Saudi Arabia or Dubai, people are demanding F5 and Palo Alto everywhere, whether you go outside, whether Singapore market or Dubai, Saudi Arabia, people are demanding this. Citrix, I have seen very less. They are being used, but their components are very less in market. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Is it in a Magic Quadrant leader?
You're talking about which product?
F5.
No, in which you're talking?
Magic Quadrant.
Magic product means
library.
like Gartner you're talking?
Gartner.
Yeah, sir. F5 is in newest demand.
Okay. Okay.
F5
Okay,
and
thanks.
like in Gartner, it's in top. Even in security component, which I'm talking about WAF, it's in demand.
Actually, I belongs to my career is pre-sales. I am looking for the Palo Alto. I am adding the now F5 also to my skills. That's why
Okay, so you are
I discussed.
basically in pre-sales. You were saying you are in pre-sales technology, is it?
Yes.
Okay, got it. That's good, Pranav. So I hope you will share your experience also with others. So, and one thing more, guys, you're welcome to keep sharing your knowledge in the group. This group will not delete. Even let's say you are in company, if any job openings comes, you can keep referring each other in market also. That is the main purpose of referring each other. Okay. Anything else, guys?
Sure.
Meanwhile, I'll share course agenda.
No, thanks for my chat.
So, with it, or from this side, so I just have one question. So, a person suppose have a skill experience in F5, and you said that in demand in market F5 and Palo Alto in combination are in demand. So, even though one does a course for Palo Alto, how the person should be uh, exploiting that particular skills in Palo Alto, which he doesn't experience that he doesn't have uh, while in an interview or while applying for the job. Can a person can go ahead still ahead with that 5 plus Palo Alto skill set?
Very good question you asked. So you need to be hybrid nowadays. Even you don't have experience, let's say, you have to show that experience. That experience only will come when you do lab plus practice. Even I have seen people who don't have experience still show that they are already working. Even when I joined as a fresher, initially I did not have experience in F5, but I have shown interview in such a way that, see, I'm not saying that you need to be expert in every technology, but nowadays any new skill you need to keep learning. Even you have 1 year experience, but if you still do lab, you can tell them, see, no one will be able to find you that whether you're working from 4 years or not. It depends all on your interview, how you give. If you have a working knowledge, so from one important thing is you need to show them working experience. Working experience comes from when you do labs, when you practice, then only the way. If you know the console, like how F5 looks, how Palo Alto looks, that way you need to show them. I've seen many people who have shown working in as a fresher or 3 years, they have shown that they are working in F5 from 5 years. So that thing you need to show. That we will keep discussing. Even you can reach out to me when you have an interview. You just need to tell me 4 to 5 days in advance that you have an interview so that I can tell you. But the way I will be teaching that, I will be covering interview questions also so that you can show. But main important thing, Irfan, is if you just do theory part, that will never help you to clear any interview. You need to be very good in labs. If you have working knowledge, even in production environment or farm, you have a working device, right? Even it's a hardware,
Yeah.
but the console is same. Even it's a cloud, nothing gets changed. Only backend gets changed or found. You need to show in that way. That's a good question. Many people have concern. Sir, I'm a fresher. I'm good in routing switching, but I'm not able to clear interview. So the interviewer first asks you the basics. If you're good in basics, they will understand whether you're working. So first question, whenever anyone goes to interview, my first question is on which model you work, either in F5 or Palo Alto. If you answer this, then I will get an idea that you're working in this technology. People go in advance, sir will ask this, sir will ask this. But you need to be understanding the architecture, network diagram flow. That is the main purpose. Whenever you go, you need to understand the topology. Why I should use F5, why I should use Palo Alto, where it should be deployed, which model is important, what are the features which these components provide. So that are the things. And main advantage or farm for F5 is license is free. You whatever is there in production in F5. Even in Palo Alto, I'm not sure whether you have done it. You can cover 90% without license, but here license is free. So Hemu, my another colleague Hemu sir, has done Palo Alto in such a way that you can crack any interview and you can work in production. Like he has covered the topology in such a way that this way, see, whenever someone asks you, you need to understand what type of questions can come. So once we discuss this components, we are covering 12 modules. I'll be keep helping you that what type of questions can come. But you need to work hard with me. That's what Arfam I want. I hope you got it, Arfam, right?
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
no problems. Anyways, now let me just start because I will be muting you all. I'll be having Q&A after each topic so that you can ask your Q&A. And I'll make sure that your all answers and questions get answered in such same class. But I would request everyone to ask questions from the concept which I am teaching rather than going extra. After the class is over, you can ask any extra question you have. I'll give you time for that also. Okay. Okay. So when I'm talking about F5, guys, F5 is a company which has bring a product called load balancer. That was the first product which came into market when F5 launched its market. And in this, they have a module concept. So in module, like Cisco is one company, okay? F5 was one company which was launched in 1996. So the first product they can ask you, which was the first product F5 launch? So you can say load balancer. And you can see that the load balancer product which they introduced is called Big IP. You will see many times people say Big IP. So that was the first product which F5 launched in 1996. And what was the main purpose of launching a load balancer is this product is also called ADC, Application Delivery Controller. And what component it helps is, guys, when I talk about Application Delivery Controller. So you will have one F5 that has a product called load balancer. And it is also called application delivery controller, which is I say app delivery controller. So by the name, if you see, it's an American based company. And my main advantage is why customer needs it. So nowadays, guys, when you install or access any web application, what you get when you access abc.com, when you access SIANETS.com, where it is hosted. When I access any website through HTTP or HTTPS, what is it is called? It is called application delivery. Who is delivering that? that component is delivered by any product called load balancer. So F5 can be deployed as layer 4, layer 7. Most of the time, guys, F5 is deployed at layer 7. Why? Because I need to access my application. Customer wants that, hey, Vidit, I need 2 applications or 2 websites which I need to launch behind a load balancer. That is the requirement that will come. This to you is logical, but this website will be hosted somewhere where it is hosted. So these websites are hosted at your servers. These are also called web servers. These are also called app servers. When you access any website, guys, these websites or web pages might be hosted somewhere, right? That is called your servers. Some people say a web server, some people say app servers. So main component of F5 is to deliver your application 24/7 to your client. Make sure that availability is there. Another advantage of load balancer is why the load balancer came into picture. When I talk about load balancer, why it came into picture, that is the first thing which you need to understand. So when I talk about load balancer, guys, it is the component of load plus balancer. That is how it is segregated. So let's say you have a client, multiple client is accessing your application. Okay. They are coming from internet. Then there is a router. Then there is a firewall. Then you have installed F5. And behind F5 or big IP product, there is a component called servers. So I am saying that there are 3 components which are available, or 3 servers. This is called server 1, which is called web server. Web server 1, this is web server 2, this is web server 3. So your main application SIANETS.com will be hosted on these 3 servers. Now the question comes, why I need 3 servers to host my application? There comes a load balancer. Let's say this server can only handle 100 requests per second. But I have 200 customers behind the internet who wants to access this SIANETS.com. What will happen, guys? This server can handle only 100 requests per second. But the load of your SIANETS.com, the request load means client request, are multiple. So what will happen? This server can handle only 100 requests, but SIANETS.com has around 200 requests coming from internet. So that is where issue will come. First issue will come, slowness issues. Second, if this server goes down, then you will don't have 24/7 availability. You have outage. Customer says that I want to, hey Vidit, I want SIANETS.com to be 24/7 available. I don't want any outage. So there comes a load balancer. Load means client request. Balancer means I will distribute my load of this client. F5 role is to make sure that client request gets load balance across multiple servers. So that is how traffic flows. I have client F5, multiple servers. Why I need? First, if this server goes down, other servers can handle the request. So always F5 make sure that traffic management will happen or traffic distribution of load will happen in such a way that equal distribution happens. This client request will come, this will go to this server. This request comes, F5 will send to this server. If 10 requests are handled by this, 10 requests will handle by this, 10 requests will handle by this. So this way, F5 helps to make sure that equal distribution of load will happen. Second advantage is 24/7 availability. Third advantage is security. Why security? Customer will never come to know about which server my request is going because F5 is acting as a proxy device. So that is the main role of F5. F5 makes sure that my request should distribute across multiple servers. So load balancer, if someone asks you, it's a network device or a device that distribute traffic to multiple servers. Or I can say that it should distribute your client request across multiple servers. That is the main advantage of load balancer, guys. Okay. So in other words, client will help connect to which device, guys? Client will always connect to your load balancer logically. So F5 is coming into between your server and client. Client is you. Server is where your website is hosted. And F5 is acting a device that distributes your request. So it will distribute HTTP request to multiple servers. And you will see that F5s are mostly deployed in layer 7, where when you access any HTTP website, that is web application. So load balancer is basically to distribute your web traffic. So that is why it's called layer 7 load balancer. So you can deploy it as an hardware. You can deploy in virtual edition also. It can be deployed in hardware also, virtual edition and cloud. Because one server cannot handle multiple load, right? Let's say you have a manager. Manager got 3 projects. If he handle one project to me, another project he don't have any resource, what will happen? He will transfer that project also to me. If he get third project, he don't have this 2 other resources, what will happen? Server 1 will handle 3 projects. If server 1 becomes have fever, headache, or he is not well, then what will happen? Anyone? There is no redundancy. I am not able to distribute my load properly because my volume of request is more. Single point of failure. So that is where load balancer comes into picture. If someone asks you what are the 3 advantage of load balancer, can anyone tell me 3 advantage of F5s? We have seen firewalls advantages. But if someone asks you 3 advantage of F5, what are the advantages? Anyone on the chat, you can reply. First one is 24/7 availability. of your web traffic. That is where when you access google.com, do you know google.com is having lot of traffic? Do you know that it's hosted on one server? No, it is hosted on lakhs of servers. So that is where load balancer comes into picture. Second advantage, guys, scalability or redundancy also you can say. Third advantage is security. Because F5 is acting between two entities, client and server. That is why it is called intermediate device or middle device. These are the three advantages. Rest, once we will access, you will see there is a concept called SSL, HA, SSL offloading. That we will see when we will talk about other features of F5. So how concept comes here is live. When I tell you live deployment, customer will say that I have 3 applications to be deployed behind F5. When I tell you F5, guys, here we are talking about load balancer. Here we are talking about big IP product. Here we are talking about LTM. Okay. Let's say customer says that, hey, Vidit or hey, SIANETS.com, I want to host 3 applications. So first question will be, what are the URLs? So they will say, I have 3 URLs, SIANETS.com, Google.com, and I have Apple.com. Okay, they will say that this. So these are called in F5 terms virtual IP. So you will see there are components which you will see virtual IP. Virtual IP is nothing but URL of your website. Client will always connect to SIANETS.com. He does not care that how many servers are behind this application. SIANETS.com is also called your application. Application also means this URL. And this will be hosted behind multiple servers. These are called in F5 pool members. So client will always connect to your virtual IP. So what is the first case when client connects to SIANETS.com? What will happen? DNS resolution. There will be one IP. Once you get an IP address, client will make a handshake with that I will show you. So that is how load balancer comes into picture in market. Okay. So let me show you the flow which I was talking about. So this is the flow which I was talking about. I have one client like you. You are accessing SIANETS.com. This SLB is your load balancer, server load balancer. You have multiple servers. So how traffic will flow? Client will send packet to your F5. There will be a 3-way handshake with your virtual IP. Virtual IP is nothing but an IP address of your website or your application. Okay. Now F5 will make sure that which server he needs to send a request. Anyone can make a guess when F5 receives a request. This I'm talking about just a flow. On which basis it will see whether I should send this request to this server, or this server. Any guesses? How F5 will make sure that equal distribution of traffic happens? There is one term through which it decides. That term is called load balancing algo. Let's see how many of you have answered that. Excellent, guys. Round robin or based on load balancing method. Very good, guys. So that is how the traffic flows. After that, it will make SYNC. So this is the basic flow, layer 3, layer 4 on based of TCP. Then HTTP GET and server response. Original web page is hosted here. The page which you are saying in client PC is the page coming from this server, and this server. When you access google.com, google.com comes from this servers only. Okay, guys. So let me give you the flow, proper flow. How? Let's just give me that 1 minute. I'll show you that flow that is important so that you can understand quickly all this. So this is what I was talking about. From this picture, you will understand why F5 is in demand. What is load balancer? So I have client in picture. I have F5. Let's say this IP is SIANETS.com. And this must be listening on either port 80 or 443 because this is HTTP based web application. Okay. So first you can see F5 helps to segregate between client and server. This is having a separate connection and this will have a separate connection. This is called server connection. This is called client connection. You need to be very careful about this. F5 maintains two connections. One between client to F5 and one is between F5 to the server. So there will be two TCP handshake. First handshake between client to F5. This is how SYN packet, SYN acknowledgement. Then there will be one GET request. GET request is when you type HTTP SIANETS.com. That is called a GET packet. When this GET packet comes, F5 receives it. Then F5 will make TCP handshake with any of this server. Let's say pool members are server 1, server 2, server 3. Then F5 will have three-way handshake with server. Then the original GET request will go to that server which F5 selected. Let's say F5 selected server 1. So that GET request will go to server 1. After that, server will send a response. Can anyone tell me what is the response server will send? When I'm saying HTTP response, what exactly F5 server is sending to F5? Anyone? When server 1 is sending a response, what it is sending exactly in the network term or apps term? So Mohammed, good question you have asked. When you say it's a 2-minute connection, there will be change in source IP. Yes. that I will come. I'm just telling you the basics. That topic will come in network flow. Traffic flow, when we'll talk about IP based, that I will show you. That is a part of syllabus. I'm just talking about the load balancer term. How load balancer topology comes into picture. What is the role of load balancer in network? So server will send a web page. And that web page will, then F5 will send that web page to this. Then client will open that web page on his browser. So that is the total flow of your F5. And some people say it's a full proxy device also. Full proxy means F5 is acting as a proxy device. So client will connect to F5 and maintain separate connection. That is where it's called full proxy device. Means two separate connection. One between client to F5 and one between F5 to server. Very, very important. You will see green, this is client connection. You will see blue, that is server connection. Okay. Rest we will talk about HTTP, HTTPS, how SSL handshake happen. But mostly F5 is deployed for web application deployment. That is HTTP request or HTTPS request. I have seen many times load balancer is only deployed for web-based application. So that is a basic concept of F5. Now I will talk about little bit more about F5 operating system. I was talking about ADC, right? ADC, this is how F5 architecture look like, hardware architecture, or I can say operating system. It is also called application delivery controller. Why? Controller here is your big IP or F5. App delivery means you have seen how F5 is delivering the application which is coming from server to client. That is called application delivery controller. So guys, in Juniper or in Palo Alto, what is the operating system? In Palo Alto, it's called Pan OS. In Juniper, it is called Junus. In Cisco, it is called iOS. The same way F5 has an operating system which is called TMOS. Traffic Management Operating System, guys. Very, very important. This question will be asked in interview. Have you worked in F5? Which operating system you have worked? What is the version number? That is the question. Another question people will ask, how many modules are available in F5? First module is LTM, that is called load balancer. Another module is GTM. Another is ASM. This is called DNS. So 4 important modules which are there in F5. This is for security, layer 7 or vast top 10 security attacks. Web application firewall also you can say. And APM is called single sign-on solution, or you can say SSL VPN. That is what APM provides. But someone can tell me, we forgot one term. What is the full form of LTM? We are talking about big IP load balancer LTM. But what is the full form? See, these small questions people can ask. So you need to be very careful. What is the full form? We are reading LTM, big IP, TMOS. But what is the full form of LTM? That is called Local Traffic Manager. That is how it works. Why it is called local, guys? Local traffic manager means that your F5 and your servers are deployed within a data center. Same data center. Your all the servers, your all applications will be deployed in same data center where your F5 is. That is why it is called local traffic manager. So here you can see, right? TMOS is your full form. They can ask you. TMOS full form is Traffic Management Operating System. Plus you have separate modules, LTM, GTM, ESN. This is also called DNS. This is layer 4 firewall, Advanced Firewall Manager. Okay. And you can see one term, full proxy. Full proxy we have discussed. There will be two separate connection, one between client to F5 and one between F5 to server. Plus I was talking about, right? It's a high performance hardware. It has a separate SSL engine, separate compression engine. Plus one thing more, guys, I want to tell you is there is separate plane. It has a separate management plane. Very, very important, guys. And it has a separate data plane. What does it mean is, guys, management plane, even your any port is down, that where F5 is connected, that data port is down. Still, your F5 will be accessible. Means I will able to access GUI of my F5. It does not have any dependency on data traffic. So this plane is for data traffic, load balancing, which I was talking about. Like client connects to virtual server, then F5 will connect to server. That is where it is. Another term is management plane. This is where all your, when you access admin traffic, so admin traffic is separate, data traffic is separate. Even your data traffic is down, still your management IP will be up. That is the advantage of F5 hardware. F5 hardware is built in such a way that your management plane is separate from data plane. Very, very important in interview, guys. This question can be asked. So that is how its operating system comes. So traffic will come to F5, it will flow through this TMOS. So it has its own dedicated CPU, memory, and all the things. And on which platform it is built, your TMOS operating system? PanOS is built in which, Windows or Linux, guys? When I talk about Palo Alto operating system, is it Linux-based operating system or Windows? You can answer that. F5 is built on Linux. If you're good in little bit Linux, it will help you to troubleshoot using CLI. I'll be helping you in GUI also plus CI both. GUI is your graphical through browser. CLI is your command line interface. So that is what operating system, how it is built. It has a separate management traffic like GUI access, CLI access, and separate data traffic. Okay, guys. Now, how hardware looks like. What are the different ports available in your big IP? Very, very important, guys. This question, if I want to understand whether you are really working in F5, I will ask this question. How many ports are available? What are the different ports available in F5? So first port is management port. What is management port, guys? Management port is this one. When you are able to access your F5 like this, I'll show you. When I open, so I should open it. That is how management port is. Management port is helpful in getting your F5 access. So that is how your F5 looks. Okay. Now, guys, one important question for you all. Let's say you got one F5 hardware. You need to configure from scratch. How you will do it? Let's say you are sitting remotely in Delhi. Your F5 is located in Singapore. You need to remotely configure F5 from scratch. What is the first thing which you need to configure F5? Anyone? Console access. Once you get the console, what is the second thing you need? How you will connect your F5 through console port? You will ask your data center engineer, hey Arun, can you give me the console access? Just connect your laptop through which port? RG45 or serial 9. So there is a separate console port in F5. After that, once you get it, you will ask them to connect your laptop through console port. After that, they will give you an access. So by default, the default IP for F5 is 192.168.1.245. Initially, you can get F5 access through this IP. Default IP. When someone asks you what is the default IP, it is 192.168.1.245. This comes by default when you initially access your F5, guys. Once you get the console access, guys, what is the second thing you will do? Anyone? You will configure management IP. So management IP is only used for admin traffic. It is not used in application traffic. It is not used in load balancing traffic. So by default, I told you it comes with this. You can change it by different methods. You get a console access. I'll show you after later on when we do lab. You need to configure management IP. Once you get access to management IP, this is how it should look. I should able to access management IP through this. If you are able to access, it means you have a connectivity. First, you take a console access. Then you try to build a management connectivity. Third one, guys, license. After that, you will configure license that we will talk about. So I'm talking about when you get a requirement to configure F5 from scratch, what things you need to take care, guys. That is important. Okay, guys. So I was talking about ports available in F5. So management port, it's a separate port. Console port, this is where you will ask your data center engineer to connect your laptop so that you can build up management connectivity. You have a USB port. Let's say F5 is not coming up. Let's say in between, sometimes F port is not coming up. In that case, guys, or let's say you have done an upgrade, but F5 is not coming up. In that case, USB port helps you. So that you can load your OS through USB. Okay, guys. Another port is failover port. Can anyone tell me what is advantage of failover cable? See, I need to make it little interactive so that you get exact requirement. When you read any topic, you need to understand the live purpose of that. So failover cable is useful for HA, high availability, where you want to deploy two F5. So that if one F5 goes down, traffic goes to another F5. One F5 will act as an active, one F5 will act as a passive. Okay, that is where your failover cable is. Now, another port, guys. This is called copper port. These are called fiber ports. That is also called trunk port. When you want to connect your F5 from layer 2 switch or layer 3 switch, that is where it is coming. These are called your TMM switch interface in F5, if someone asks you. What is TMM? It is called Traffic Management Microkernel. This is also called data ports. So by default, when I talk about F5, guys, you go to network, go to interfaces. This is how your data ports are. They have speed. It can be 1 gig, 10 gig, it depends on you. So TMM switch interfaces can be 10, 100, sorry, 10, 10,000 Ethernet port. It can be your gigabit SFP port. Okay, depends. It can be 10 gig SFPs. So it depends how your uplink or downlink is built. Okay, so we have talked about management port. We have talked about USB port. We have talked about failover port. We have talked about Ethernet ports or gigabits. Now you can see one port or panel which is called LCD panel, guys. This can help you to determine the status, whether you're getting green lean. Green means F5 is working fine. You're getting amber light. Sometimes you will see, hey, I'm seeing amber light. That means there is an issue. So that is how it helps, guys. Okay, guys. So this was the basic introduction why load balancer is required and why the term F5 came into picture. Very, very important, because this concept you need to understand how F5 works, what is load balancing, why load balancing is required. Now, what is the operating system in that? How you can access management IP. Okay. So this is how I was talking about setup. First task is to configure management port. Then we will talk about all this in our lab when we will do next weekend. Every step we will do license, VLAN, network component, and everything. And this is how we have talked about. This is data traffic, how TCP handshake is built. And this is TMOS architecture. So when I talk about F5, guys, there can be a situation where your front-end connection is HTTPS, but your backend between F5 to server can be plain text. That you will come once we do the lab. Sometimes front-end, also one thing important, guys, sometimes you will see front-end and backend. Front-end means client to F5. Backend means F5 to server. So this connection does not have any dependency with this. That is what this picture shows. Okay, guys. So that is how your load balancer comes into picture. And this is what which we discussed. Big IP system and TMOS architecture. Now I'll give you a Q&A. I'll stop this so that you can ask some question. Then we will proceed further.